It's easy to say yes on a survey. I can assure you 99.9% of those people are not going to take a 150K haircut to balance the market.
That's what I'm saying.
You're listening to the Ottawa Real Estate Podcast with your hosts, Paul Stevenson, David Warren, and Greg Campbell. Let's see what's going on in the world of real estate today.
Good morning. Hello. Welcome back. Good afternoon. Good evening. Good night. It's the Ottawa Real Estate Podcast. We are back and better than ever with backgrounds of ourselves and great stories from the weekend. My name is Paul Stevenson. I am a mortgage agent. Okay. I'm a mortgage agent.
Yes.
David Warren is a mortgage agent. Seemingly
mortgage agent
outside of the office. And Gregory is not a mortgage agent. So for those who think we're all realtors, we're not. But Greg is. Greg Campbell is a realtor extraordinaire at the agency Ottawa.
I am.
The agency. How's it going, gentlemen?
In front of a backdrop of my own face.
Yes. Glorious.
Put the ego aside, Campbell. Put the ego aside.
It's a beautiful photo, though. Beautiful.
Greg,
photo.
for those listening, Greg is sitting in front of a mural of himself.
Yeah. Having fun with backgrounds in Zoom. Just decided to leave that in there.
Yeah. Pretty amazing.
Put the ego aside, Campbell.
How was the weekend? David, you're out of town.
I am. I'm in Victoria, BC. So beautiful. Got here Friday. Here for the weekend. Headed to a friend's place over on an island, Salt Spring Island, later today. And spending the week working from there. We'll be there till Sunday. Yeah. Looking forward to it. Never been to Victoria, never been to any of the islands. Been to Vancouver quite a bit, but not of the islands around.
Cool. So Salt Spring's an amazing little place.
Yeah, it should be fun.
Sounds like something out of the movie Cars.
Yes.
Salt Spring sounds like.
I get that.
How was your weekend, Gregory?
The weekend was good. I showed some homes, submitted an offer, currently in negotiations. Saw a lot of homes again with the same buyers I was working with a couple of weeks ago, speaking about them. Single family detached homes in Embrun. Well, not Embrun anymore. We did Rockland, Orleans, Russell. Saw a lot of great properties. $899.9 seems to be the kind of standard price for an older semi-updated home in Orleans. Whether they sell at that price or not, that remains to be seen. But there's a lot of nice stuff out there ready for the buyers. And I also saw a lot of vacant homes again. I know I spoke about that earlier in the year, where you're seeing a lot of vacant properties. So you know what that means, that there are opportunities and potentially prices for some could go down if they have to sell, or they might turn those into rentals if they need to, if selling at a certain price means too much of a loss for them. I spoke with the agent from the agency outside of the GTA, and her friend bought a new build here 2 years ago, I think. It's just being completed next month, end of November. And she was asking me what he could sell it for. My price was $750 based on what they're selling for now. And 2 years ago, when he purchased it, it was $850. So needless to say, he's turning that into a rental as opposed to taking a $100,000 bath.
Yeah, someone asked us that. Remember, someone asked us that a few weeks ago. Like, do you think builders would purposely keep their prices high to protect their previous buyers? And we're seeing that. I think at the time we had said that that's not a thing. Like, people obviously builders are obviously looking to sell homes. They're not looking to protect their buyers. And I've seen that for sure. Like, I have people buying new builds. We're now coming up to the appraisal point. Some of them, I've actually had a few AVM, have an automated valuation model where they don't need an appraisal, which is great. But others, like, there's direct comparables, same builder, same model, exactly the same unit for, 50, 75 less than what they do. Like, how do you, they will 100% have to come up with the difference. There's no gray area. Like, it may appraise for more, but when you can buy the exact same home, now it closes a year from now or wherever, right? But in some cases, the homes are already built. They're vacant. They're built now, just like the other home that they've bought, and they're selling it for less. So yeah, that difference, it's like you bought a stock a year ago and now the price of that stock's gone down and the value of your shares have lowered, but now you gotta buy those shares back. It's like a futures contract,
And then what happens is, The amortization.
It is a futures contract. It is a futures contract.
We are in the amortization nation, right?
Yes.
I love that.
Right.
The amortization nation. So they come
Wow.
in, it doesn't appraise, and then you got to extend the term and do whatever you can to close.
That's Canada now. We are the amortization nation. That's the first time I've heard that term, and I love it. And
I read it. I read it moments ago, and I am quoting it on TOREP.
I think
I'm even going to say where I read it. It's great.
We saw that. Yeah, I saw it. Now it's mine. That's how the internet works now.
Put the ego away, Campbell. Put the ego. Put it away. We don't want that.
Go away.
Saw this photo meme, and now it's mine. Greg Campbell. Yeah, no, we had something from, I think it was Twitter, or we had a graph last week where it actually showed the banks and like what percentage of their mortgages are over amortized, kind of over that 25-year amortization. And I think every bank was over 40% or over 20%. I wish I had the graphs so we could quote it, but there was some lenders for sure that were at 40%. And I think we talked about it last week, maybe after the show, that BMO is exiting the auto finance game. I think TD was saying that their auto finance, they've never seen like the defaults that they're seeing since they started lending out for secured lending on cars. So, which is scary. So that means that what? So they're defaulting on their car loans so that they can maintain their mortgage payments. You'd think so. Like it seems
in
like
a lot of cases.
Yeah, it seems like almost a domino, right? Like people pay their house first, then their car, then groceries, food, or groceries, utilities, what have you. So if the cars are defaulting, you'd expect that mortgages are going to be next, right?
There's been a big increase in consumer debt that's skyrocketed on unsecured consumer debt. Lines of credit cards has skyrocketed. I forget the percentage right now, but we're back over pre-pandemic numbers. For the auto finance, BMO did exit that market, but what the banks are having trouble with is that it's one-sided. They're lending the money out. There's no deposits really coming in, and so they can't leverage that asset. Like value depreciates immediately. You get the defaults, but also from a lending perspective, there's not really money coming in that they can then leverage to lend out on mortgages or unsecured debt. So there's a big reason, because OSFI, who regulates the banks, has changed how much money banks can lend out based on how much they have in deposits. And for the auto finance realm, it doesn't really play into that and kind of depletes their leverage capabilities. What I've kind of been reading on that one.
Well, I've got some information about what Canadians think about what's going on right now. Would you like to hear about it?
Let's hear it. Let's hear it,
Tell us,
Gregory.
Greg.
Put the ego aside, though, Gregory. Put it
What are
aside.
Canadians thinking?
Put the ego aside. Okay. A new poll found that most Canadians, 70%, would be happy to see home prices go down, even if it means sacrificing some of their own wealth. This is a significant finding, given that about 2/3 of Canadian households own their homes. The poll also found that Canadians' preferred solution to the high cost of housing is to build more homes faster, including government subsidized one. Only 12% responded said the best answer is to curb immigration. Housing costs have become a major social issue and a political problem for Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. His new housing minister, Sean Fraser, has said he wants to improve affordability without pushing down prices. But it's not clear how the government plans to achieve this. So interesting to hear that. Trudeau is under mounting pressure to outline a strategy to ease the cost of living. Recent report by the Canadian Imperial Bank of Commerce found that mortgage payments now eat up 59% of household earnings in 10 large cities. Fewer Canadians favor policies to discourage people from buying second homes, and almost no one supports eliminating the capital gains tax exemption on the sale of a primary residence. In a summary, to summarize some things about what Canadians think. So I think it's important to say that Canadians are fed up with the market, period. Even people who are selling their homes, understanding that the situation just isn't good for anybody. I guess I found that very interesting that there were, that many Canadians felt like that they would rather sell their, you gotta think about that though. Everybody wants their money, but they'd be willing to sell their home for less just to make a more balanced market, but you can't, it's impossible for that to happen. You know what I mean? You have to get everybody on board and agree to it. And then that becomes something of its else. It's like what, like a home selling union for home owners?
Yeah, I also
created
think
by the government.
I also think it's always, these polls are always funny because I don't think any of us have ever been part of these polls. I've never been polled on anything.
Never been part of it.
But these polls,
you know, targeted phone calls. I don't know. Maybe they target a certain demographic to get a certain answer, right? But
but if you're asking homeowners, like people that actually own their homes, and they knocked on their door and said, "Hey, if we could offer you 100 less than what your home's worth, just to bring a balanced market, are you okay to sell?" Like, it's easy to say yes on a survey. I can assure you 99.9% of those people are not going to take a 150K haircut to balance the market out.
That's what I'm saying. So it's like, you know, maybe people who are just, I don't know, like Steven just said in the chat, they're landlines.
What did he say?
Some of the older community. I don't know. Maybe people who are already set financially, less to worry about down the road. But who knows? Regardless, it's a statistic that came out, and that's what I found.
And on kind of that supply and affordability standpoint, one thing that came out Friday that we touched on briefly, and that's been in the news a lot in Toronto, is that Doug Ford reverted his decision on releasing the Greenbelt for development. He admitted that it was a rush decision. There's obviously been 3 ministers and a few aides that have all resigned or been let go as a result of the issues kind of plaguing this decision to try and, you know, speed up development for the sake of building additional supply. But everyone was pushing back against it, and he actually reverted that decision. So it'd be interesting to see, you know, kind of going forward in Toronto, at least, which is our, you know, largest city in Canada, and obviously has a huge, you know, population that also goes there from an immigration perspective. You know, obviously flood stores there, and they have a big rental issue. There's the sales market is dipped, but the rental market is still very, very strong. It'll be interesting to see what they decide then, if not releasing any of the Greenbelt for development, what they do or how they go about addressing development for additional supply in the Toronto GTA.
Well, Dave, you sent us a message last week about a real life situation about a new build, and just talking about the cost of it, and, you know, on closing, the fees that need to be paid, and how much more of a monthly payment it would be on your mortgage. Maybe you can touch on that quickly. But I wanted to say I was at Depot on Friday buying a single sheet of plywood. It was like $55 for one sheet. And I couldn't, like, it blew my mind. Cause I remember doing renos like 5-6 years ago, and I think they were like $8 to $10 a sheet, or $12. Like, it was something absurd.
Really?
Like
$55
for
what are the dimensions of that sheet? Is it like a 6x6 or
no? It was, I think, 6x5, maybe 6 feet by 5 feet or something. Yeah, it was pretty wild. Anyways, I digress. I'm just saying the cost of build now is through the roof. The permits.
It costs to do anything.
It's everything we've been saying. It costs to do anything. You're right. Yes.
You know, so, you go get groceries now, and then it's like, oh, you look at it, you're like, okay, this is, you know, I think it's about this. You know, you look at prices when you're picking things up, you add a few things on the way, and then you get to the checkout, and then you have one bag, and it's like $200. Depending on what you're buying, of course. You know what I mean? We eat pretty well and healthy. You know, I don't eat a lot of processed food around here, so it's, you know, you get home and you put it in the fridge, put it away. It's like, wow, it's affecting everybody.
Yeah, that'll last us 2 days. Okay?
Yes.
Yeah. That's
so
2 meals.
So to Paul, your point on the new construction, and that I commented to, at least in our internal chat, and I said I'd kind of vocalize it, was I got a statement of adjustments and a trust ledger for a new construction purchase that closed last week. The net sale price, so what the builder is taking as their sales price, $919,181. There is $120,000 in HST on top of that. There is an additional $320 in land tax, so property tax. There is an additional, where is it here? We've got land transfer tax of $15,000. The HST on legals, land transfer, registration of the charge. So these are all still government charges. Yeah, land transfer tax, corporate searches is $16,700. So roughly almost $140,000 in tax, and, you know, including land transfer tax, HST, GST, and PST on that purchase. on a $919,000 build. So that's over and above that 919 that these apply. Further to that, that doesn't include the builder's development charges, permit charges, taxes on the materials. So when you look at those statistics and those numbers of what constitutes or what makes up the cost of a property or a new construction property, when somebody's going and getting that mortgage on it, it's over a third is built up of taxes. Once you incorporate, like I said, that land transfer tax, the HST, the development charges, cash in lieu of parkland, which is basically the city's way of, kind of calling bribery to the city of developing that property is their cash in lieu of parkland. So instead of building a park, you pay us cash and we don't build it and we don't need that land for a park is effectively what that is. The, permit costs and all of that. So it is very, very significant what goes into new construction. So, there are cities or provinces rather, and we touched on it last week, that they don't have, land transfer tax for first-time home buyers and things like that. Reducing some of these taxes and development charges on these properties will certainly make properties more affordable and drive that price down. Yes, they're new construction, they're not the resale market, but every property starts somewhere. It's starting at that price point of after tax and after the development charges, and it's only going to go up from there. If they want affordable housing, they need to lower those overall components that make up a new build. It's pretty ridiculous once you actually look at it and dive into those numbers.
Yeah. So looking at
just quickly, Paul.
Sure.
I saw a stat that I don't know if we touched on this in the last couple of weeks, but in Toronto, pre-construction is the lowest it's been in 23 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then now they're saying that, I guess, with what we've been speaking about with the GST rebate, hopefully it'll go up. But I couldn't believe that 23 years. I must have missed that before when we were talking about it. But that's crazy.
Yeah, we had a graph that showed basically the immigration stats and then the housing starts was a complete opposite. Like how does that happen, right? It should be complete hockey stick curve for housing, and then you increase the immigration, right? So everything's set, ready to go,
right?
Or at least happening at the same time. Not let's bring a million people.
Why would anything in today's society make sense? Why would it do that?
Yeah,
wouldn't do.
I was gonna say with that 919,000. So from the builder side, that's your side. So from the builder side of that 919, let's just assume, and I know this is wrong, but let's just assume they made 200,000 in profit on the 919, just the 919. You're paying your own taxes. They're going to pay their own taxes. Like you said, they're paying for the permit. They're paying for this. They're paying for that. They have their own build cost. What do you think? How much money is a builder putting into that 919? And total, you said 1/3. You're basically, it sounds like of the 919, there's another 200,000 roughly on top of that, 150,000. So of the builder's 919, how much of their 919 is also tax or materials? How much of that is?
It's probably around 200 to 250,000 is development charges, permits, cash in lieu of parkland, taxes on the materials, taxes on the labor. You've still got CPV and EI on that labor as well. It's probably that's what I'm saying, that of that 919, it's probably about 200 to 250 of that as contributing towards taxes.
Right. So with the additional 150, you're talking $400,000 on a $919,000 home that's just taxes and fees and so on.
Correct. Yeah. But
just that dead air was needed just so people can take that in for a second.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's where the issue is all of that red tape, those costs, even as a deterrent for a buyer. If okay, I'm paying an additional 15 to 20% on top of what I'm paying just to get in the home, just to get in the door. Mm-hmm. If you're buying it as an investment potentially, or you're going to be renting it out, those are further losses. If you're buying it and then you're planning to sell it, then you're paying fees on top of that to sell it and so on. So it's very tough. It's very, very challenging to see a way out of it. I just don't see any way where we can build that many homes that fast at an affordable price that Canadians can afford,
It's impossible.
Some's got a gift. Let's go back to three episodes ago.
We're dying. Yes, we'll figure something out. I do have some comments about the comments I made last week, and had an email from someone. It was, it seemed like maybe me speaking about what happened at that open house and trying to get the other agents involved was a bit aggressive, but I was kind of like, well, that's what I do and that's what I believe in. And to further on that, when I was talking about the open house and other agents in the building not being on board to come in support and do it at the same time so that we could get more traffic to all the listings, I ended up selling the property through someone that came through the open house. So they were represented by an agent, but they ultimately put in an offer after coming through the open house. So if you're a realtor out there and you're not doing open houses right now, I'd advise that you do it, because all it takes is one person. And we did another one on the weekend. We had 8 groups through that. It actually sold the day prior. We only had it on for 2 days, but we got a great offer on it. So that's another thing. It was listed previously and it wasn't. We did some touch ups just to get it to where it needed to be and priced more competitively for the market. And yeah, that's my thing. I'm just saying to agents out there, if you have a listing, even if you don't have a listing, find a listing through someone in your office or agents that ask them if they have any listings and they want open houses done, and just go and do it, because there's business there. And now we have, for the team, we have more leads of home buyers that we can help and represent properly.
Call those agents that are on vacation and not willing, not able to do those open houses.
Yeah, like at the end of the day, there was a buyer that came into that building and bought a units. Like if they had been there, they might have bought theirs instead of yours, Greg.
Absolutely.
And that would have been terrible for you, but that's why you did this, is to give them the opportunity, right? Is to actually
that's
well.
So, you never know. It only takes one. Don't be lazy, especially when you're trying to compete against the other 4,000 agents in Ottawa. You gotta make your mark. Make your mark.
That's pretty crazy, actually, that stat. So there's 4,000 licensed agents.
There's about 4,000 agents. I can't remember the exact number, but again, I've said this before, but it's good for a refresher, especially for new listeners. As anything, it's 20% of us doing 80% of the work. And there's more part-time agents in the industry now, I think, than ever before. So that might do a couple deals a year. And then, what happens is some of those, that's for their own business or, friends and family kind of stuff. But, it also can end up in situations where people working with some of the part-time agents, I'm not going to, call out everybody. Obviously, everyone's different. But, it's the level of service is different. So when you're picking an agent, just really make sure that you vet everybody, do your research, check out the socials, check out the reviews, interview. Do not work with the first agent you're referred to. Just make sure that you make the calls and talk to more people, talk to more realtors, sit down, because you got to go on the way you feel. The vibe is important.
It's actually amazing how many times when I'm kind of doing that introductory call and asking them about, are you working with an agent right now? Where you at in the process? That sort of thing, depending on where they came from, obviously. But so many people say, oh yeah, I have a realtor from my brother's cousin or whatever. I don't know. My boyfriend's cousin's brother is a realtor or something. Like they've no vetting done. They're basically, I understand a lot of people work strictly on relationship. That's really important to them. But in something like this, where we're talking about something that could potentially, if you're selling or buying, save or earn you an additional $20,000, $25,000, $30,000. Like it's not, you're not buying a Christmas card for someone. It's really important to make an informed decision,
or make you feel important during the process. Like I have a friend right now in Toronto who's going through something with an agent that she was recommended, and she said it's been terrible because every time that she asks the agent questions, she feels like it's a problem. Like it's an inconvenience to her to answer the question. And I'm like, that is not cool. Like that's not what you want. And it's her first time selling a house. So she was referred by friends, and now she's in this situation where she's just like, not sure if she wants to continue the relationship because she doesn't feel like she's getting, the service that she needs. And she's asking the question to me and some other people, saying like, is this what it's like? And we're just like, absolutely not. They should be like helping you in a way that makes you feel comfortable and puts you first.
Another phone call, Greg. Great. No, go ahead. Whatever you need. What can I help you with today? Eh?
Yeah. Oh God.
Mhm.
I was just on another call. It was so important. What do you need?
Yeah.
What do you want?
I
Yeah.
let them go for you. So
Yeah.
go ahead.
Yeah.
Uh,
Ego aside.
Steven had a comment from just based on what you said there, Greg. Dick Wong says, case in point, Greg was out of town and had someone else take me to see houses. I ended up buying one of those houses.
Yeah.
So that's two cases.
That's what you do. That's what you do. It's what you do.
But of the,
Collaborate,
you
collaborate and
mentioned
build.
4,000 agents though, and last month there was 1,200 sales.
And 20% of those
So
4,000 did all the business.
yeah. So, I mean, really to your point, Greg, of interviewing those agents that you're going to work with, the more negotiations, the more properties, like showings, offers submitted or deals done that an agent has experience with, the better they're going to be at negotiating, at strategically positioning, at selling your home from what's going to be needed, what photographers are using or video content or social media content, like marketing plan, as opposed to the one person that, to your point, sells 1 to 2 homes a year. They don't have that experience walking through a house. They don't have that experience negotiating, of strategic negotiations, what's needed to sell a house, or even how to analyze the market for comparables. And they overprice, and they're just like, oh, what do you want to sell for? Oh, 800. Well, I think it's worth 600, but yeah, that's going to get me the listing. Let's just do that.
And they also don't have the same relationships with a lot of the established realtors in town, which is a huge asset, I find, especially when negotiating, because it's just, like I said, the egos are aside, and you just kind of, it's just a more pleasant experience, and everybody's working together to do what's best for their client and ultimately get the job done. It's not the same type of battle.
Yeah. And I think the same can be said on the mortgage side as well.
Sure.
Interview and discuss and ask questions of the mortgage professional you're working with, how long they've been in the business, their knowledge of the industry, and really interview them of who they work with, all that. I mean, at the end of the day, most mortgage agents all have access to the same lenders. They, by and large. And so it's really just in their experience and how to position your application or your file with the banks, on that, strategic positioning, on dealing with them for conditions, being able to get those exceptions made, all of that really goes into the experience of that agent. Whereas, you deal with somebody that's part-time or new, or not really understanding the market or putting that time to know their product, and they could really kind of be a detriment to your file, where, if it gets canceled with 3 insurers, there's only 3 out there. There's only CMHC, Sagen, and Canada Guarantee. So if it's positioned incorrectly by one inexperienced mortgage agent or bank professional, then you're shot. Like, you only have 3 opportunities if you have less than 20% down. And so ensuring that you're working with somebody that can position your file properly with the banks and with the insurers is imperative to getting your deal done as well.
Yes.
Relationships,
Relationships.
real estate, us with our clients, us with the lenders, it's all relationships.
That's it. That's what it's all about.
And knowing what the hell you're doing.
Yeah.
And we'd love to relationship with you, viewers. Looking to buy or sell, let's start a relationship.
Put the ego aside, Gregory.
Put the ego aside, Campbell.
After you make a comment, you just...
Oh, God.
I'm going to walk around for the rest of my life like that. Pensive.
Well, I think we should, before we slide into the mood boost, I think we should put it out there to listeners to shoot us a message, comment on our videos, whatever it may be, what content you're looking for from us as well. We haven't really asked you, the listeners that come on and listen to us ramble about nonsense, of what content you're looking for, topics. So certainly let us know. We're all ears.
We should also do another
live.
I say we do another live. I say we do it 2 weeks from now. I say we promote it hard and heavy. And I say that all of you out there,
hard and heavy.
Drop your questions. Get ready. Let's go.
Yeah, we should do that, and we should also have one of our phones or something where people can actually call in. We need a call-in show.
I think it's great.
Yeah.
I think
Zoom
that would be
link.
an amazing idea.
A random Zoom link where people can just tune in and Steve can somehow screen them before they come on.
You just gotta hope you don't get those shows. I was listening to
Need a 10-second delay.
like an old school hip hop show, Grandmaster Kaz, and on Rock the Bells radio the other day, and they did a call in celebrating 50 years of hip hop and whatever. And he's like, and the callers there, and they're like, yeah, Johnny, you're on the call. You're on the call. How you doing, bro? Hello. Yeah, Johnny, you're on the show. Thanks for tuning in. Hey, yeah, I just want to say, and then it's like, holy shit. And then, they gotta like let him go through it. Please. We would hope that being listeners of quality entertainment like this, that you can communicate your questions properly. Be prepared. If not, have a proxy.
No, we'll just do a 10 or 15-second delay, and we'll be quick on the trigger for hanging up.
Bro,
next.
Editing on the fly through AI. Just
next.
Next caller. Just calmly.
It'd be like that. It'd be like that MTV show. Next.
Yeah. Johnny, you're on the call. I love you guys.
Before we slide into the mood boost, gentlemen, I wanted to quickly promote, I guess you could say, these cardinal pins, these never give up pins, Ivor Fashion. Greg, do you know Travis Iverson?
I don't.
Ivor Fashion. So Travis, he is in a wheelchair. He created these never give up pins to support. He has a custom clothing line for people that are in the wheelchair community. He creates these custom clothing. So these pins are basically to create awareness for people that are in need of those clothing. So it's not something that obviously people think of unless you know someone in that position. So these pins, actually, we had our inaugural Stevenson Croquet Championship yesterday, which I think I mentioned to you guys. And I gave out these pins to all the participants in memory of my grandma who loved Cardinals. So that was kind of it all came full circle, the Cardinal pins. So Ivor Fashion, never give up. I'll put the link. I'll give the link to Steven. So if you want to, they have hoodies and they have those pins. So if you want to support that cause and check out Travis's website, I think it's just ivorfashion.com, and you can get the pins there. So
yeah,
there you go.
Apparently I do know him. I don't know if I've met him. I would apologize in advance, but he had requested me as a friend on Facebook. We have 69 friends in common. Mm-hmm. Travis, yes, good looking out. I will grab a pin from Paul.
Yes, I have extras.
In support, 100%.
Absolutely. Awesome. All right, mood boost, gentlemen. Here we go. I got 3 today. So number 1, why did Spider-Man's evil twin fail his driver's test? He was a bad parallel parker.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I don't know about that one.
I'm taking it.
Wow.
That's a win. Number 2, asked my wife what she wanted for her birthday. She replied, nothing would make me happier than a diamond necklace. So I bought her nothing. Okay. And number 3, why don't pirates take a bath before they walk the plank? They just wash up on shore.
I'll give you a little bit for the last one there.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. Yeah, so 2 weeks. Let's do an AMA. I think that's October 9th or 10th, whatever that. That's Thanksgiving weekend. So we should line it up for maybe the Tuesday night, post-Thanksgiving weekend.
Yeah.
And thanks for tuning in, everyone. We should be back next week at 10 a.m. Gregory, thanks for your twin there in the background. That's pretty good. You got to look.
Put the ego aside.
Go the other way. Go more the other way.
This is going to be a weekly thing for me. I'm going to have fun with this.
It's a new photo. All right. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. We'll see you next week.
Deuces.
Thanks for tuning in, everyone. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. Please remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe because we'd really like that.